And, all right, let's go ahead and start that. Okay. This is going to be the misdemeanor expedited accusation calendar. These are a list of misdemeanor cases with the State Court of Fulton County in which individuals were recently arrested and booked in at the Wright Street Jail. Soon after being booked in, the prosecutor, who is the Solicitor General of Fulton County, has formally accused the defendants of one or more misdemeanor offenses. So therefore, this would be the defendant's initial appearance or first appearance before a judicial officer. When the case is called, I will advise the defendant of the new case number, the charges brought against him or her, to appoint counsel if necessary, and also to set a bond where required. For some of the cases, a new court date will also be scheduled. Miss,
Yes, Your Honor. Your recent date for your SAP calendar is June the 25th.
Okay, good. Thank you. So the next court date will be June 25th at 9 a.m. And that will also be a virtual proceeding. For those planning to attend, please make sure you get the appropriate Zoom link for the next calendar. For those of you who are charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say during the course of this virtual Zoom proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. All right, I've got a couple of places that are ready to be addressed. Courtroom 2, where should I go first?
Good afternoon, Judge Law. Can we go to the public attorney? It's going to be for position number 5, Mr. Darius Edmonds.
All right, and where is his client? Is he in courtroom 2?
That is correct, courtroom 2.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Pat Dixon on behalf of Mr. Edmonds.
All right, could you give me your name again, please?
Pat Dixon, Judge.
Oh, okay, thank you. And this was position 5, was it?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. This is State versus Darius Edmonds, case number 24 CR 003-681C. Mr. Edmonds, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Pat Dixon III. Do you see him on the Zoom screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Edmonds, your client's case has already been formally accused. The charges brought against him are reckless driving, driving in a circular or zigzag manner, or what we call laying drag, driving while license suspended or revoked, and obscured or missing license plate. This is from a June 3rd, 2024 incident. Mr. Edmonds, let me see. Mr. Howard, any priors?
I got first arrest.
Ms. Desiano, what's the state's recommendation?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. The state in this case is recommending a $6,500 surety bond. That's $2,000 on the reckless driving, $2,000 on the driving in a circular motion, $2,000 on the driving while license suspended, and $500 on the missing tag. No driving without valid license, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Your Honor, I understand this is his first arrest. However, this incident occurred June 3rd, 2024. Officers had intel as to an illegal street takeover that occurred in the area of North Avenue and Glen Iris. Officers were monitoring known Instagram pages where these drag races are posted. An Instagram account with the handle unknown.Darius was tagged in one of the accounts. And on that video, the Instagram showed a white Corvette C7 with black rims doing donuts in the intersection. The officer noted that there were several pedestrians in and around the vehicle while it was doing donuts. After a firework is thrown in the middle of the intersection, the defendant gets out of his car, brandishes a pistol, and then gets back in his vehicle. The defendant has several photos of himself on Instagram wearing the same outfit that he's seen in the video on the Instagram video in question. There was no tag on the car in the video. However, the investigators did an investigative search on all 2014 Corvettes and matched the defendant to this incident. And they ran his license through ACIC and it came back suspended. Your Honor, of course, this is an extremely dangerous situation. These videos have been going viral online. Several pedestrians could have very easily been hit. And as I'm sure you're aware, there have been many instances where pedestrians have been hit in these types of scenarios. So again, the state is recommending a $6,500 surety bond, $2,000 on the reckless driving, $2,000 on the driving in circular motion, $2,000 on the suspended license, and $500 on the missing tag. No driving without a valid license, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol out on bond.
Mr. Dixon?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Edmonds is 20 years old. He resides here in the Atlanta area with his mother. And I verified that address. It's at 3022 Havenwood Way. That's in Stonecrest, Georgia. Like the state just stated, this is Mr. Edmonds' first lifetime arrest. Mr. Edmonds is retired military. He was honorably discharged with a medical discharge. He's currently retired, receiving retirement benefits. He's unable to work right now, Your Honor. And for those reasons, we're asking for a reduced bond amount than what the state just articulated. We're asking for a bond, $1,000 on the reckless driving, $1,000 on the driving, the lane drag, 500 on the missing tag, and 500 on the driving with suspended license. Of course, there's we suspect a clerical issue that has his driver's license suspended, and we're making all efforts to work on that clerical issue right now. He's already retained private attorney, and so we believe that he's going to return to court in response to these charges. I think the state has some issues with identification that we'll kind of meet out later. But for purposes of bond today, we're asking for a bond not to exceed $3,000, Your Honor.
All right. On the driving while license suspended or revoked, that's going to be $1,000 surety bond. On the reckless driving and the lane drag charges, that's going to be $2,500 each. And the obscured or missing license plate, that's $1,000. That's a total of a $7,000 split bond. The $1,000 on the license is a surety bond. The remainder is going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 3. He will be reporting to pretrial once a week. He is not allowed to drive a valid any automobile unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. He's also not allowed to drive between the hours of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. So I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon, did you say he's honorably discharged, medically discharged? Because I don't think a 20-year-old can be retired unless he owned Google and decided to sell it.
Yeah, so it's a medical discharge, Your Honor. And so that he sustained injury during combat, Your Honor.
All right. So please keep in mind that he reports once a week. And if he gets arrested again, or if he violates the conditions of the bond, such as driving during the curfew hours or driving without a valid license, insurance, and registration, his signature bond portion, the $6,000 portion, will be automatically converted to either a surety bond or a cash bond.
Understood, Judge. And just for clarity, he can't drive between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., but he doesn't have to be in the house during those hours, correct?
No, he just cannot be driving.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so it's a 6,000 signature and then 1,000 on
Surety.
1,000 surety on the reckless.
On the driving while license suspended or revoked.
Okay. Thank you so much, Your Honor.
All right. And his case is, since a portion of his bond is a surety, his next court date is June 25th. Unless he makes bond, then he will be sent another new court date. Please be sure that his address and so forth are current with the court.
Sure, Your Honor. And the UJR, the
Signature bond?
signature bond through pretrial services, they'll come over to the jail and meet with him about signing those documents, Judge.
That would be correct. He will go through an orientation. He'll get all the scheduled information.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But it's once a week. So please, it's not once a month. It's once a week.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
That concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, Mr. Dixon, have a good week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Courtroom 2, where do I go next?
You
Number
know,
16,
Medical, Your Honor.
position number 16, Paula Fox.
All right, is that at 3 South?
Yeah, that's 3 South.
Okay, position 16. And who represents Mr. Palafox?
I am, Your Honor.
All right. This is State versus Roberto Palafox, who is at the 3 South location. Mr. Palafox's accusation is 24 CR 3685G. He's accused of simple battery, family violence, and theft by taking from a June 11th, 2024 incident. Mr. Palafox, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Hoda Atay. Any priors?
5 cycles, 5 adult. He was arrested this year. Trespass, failure to appear. He got an open trespass and simple assault in state court. It's 21 CR 001-918G. And the open trespass from this year is 24 CR 002. They're missing a number. It ends with 69G though.
All right.
And a 2017 trespass no-low.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 2880 Campbellton Road, where they met with the victim, Ms. Kayla Lewis. She advised that she was in the vehicle, and her child's father were having a disagreement. He did choke and punch her and took her phone, keys, and wallet. We have made contact with the victim. She is concerned for her safety. We will be asking for a stay away from 490 Injure Avenue. That is her residence. To the 1 count on simple battery, we're asking for a $2,000 surety bond. To the theft by taking, a $1,000 surety bond. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. I'm not sure if Ms. Kayla Lewis is on the line, but we will sound for the victim.
Ms. Kayla Lewis, if you'd like to address the court, please unmute and start your video. All right, Ms. Atay?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 26 years old. He has lived in Georgia all his life. He currently works 2 jobs, one at Churches and one at Checkers. He is not a stepfather, but he cares for 2 minor children with another person. He states that he doesn't share any children with the complaining witness, although the warrant states that they do have a child together. He does deny the allegations as stated in the warrant. The warrant reflects that his mother may have been the one who called the police, and that's what he told me, that she called the police because her son was being attacked, and told the police that she didn't see her son do anything but saw the complaining witness throw a chair at him, and he is injured. He has a knot on his head. He states that the complaining witness spit on him and threatened to kill him and his mother. So he does firmly deny the allegations as stated in the warrant. He has no problem with a stay away from the complaining witness's home and no further contact with her. And I would ask, and I believe he's recommended for a signature bond at level 2. He has some history, Your Honor, but for criminal trespass, and he has been residentially challenged, but states that, he now has stable housing with his mother. So I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services at level 2, the stay away and no further contact. I have no objections there, nothing further.
Your Honor, I'm sure pretrial brought this up on that simple assault case. I'm sure that there was a bench warrant issue due to him missing court. So I'm not sure how you could do pretrial with an active bench warrant.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. On the simple battery, family violence is 1,000. On the theft by taking is 1,000. The total bond is a $2,000 surety. No further contact with Ms. Lewis, the alleged victim, to stay away from, what was it, 490 Injure Avenue?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's in Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. He's to stay 200 yards away from her and her children. He's not to have any contact with any of them. And that means no contact through a third person, through any kind of a social media, phone, and computer device. We are going to reset this case to June 25th, along with his other 2 cases, and the case numbers are as follows. 21 CR 001-918G, 24 CR 003-269G. And as he has a bench warrant currently in one of the cases, he won't be released until the next court date, June 25th. If you would like to address the court, Mr. Palafox, you would need to advise the deputy to unmute. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Halifax, you don't need to say anything. Deputy Blunt, you can mute the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we are going to reset these cases. Thank you.
Your Honor, is there any way we could do position 18 for Attorney Majeski?
I already have them on, Walker.
All right, thank you, Norris, for the best.
You're welcome.
We have Mr. Devontae Spencer, accused of battery, family violence from April 2nd, 2024. Mr. Spencer's case is 24 CR 3674Y. Mr. Spencer, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Majeski. Mr. Majeski, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge.
All right. And may we have Mr. Howard, may I have Mr. Spencer's priors, please?
2023 probation, on probation in Superior Court, ag assault, use of a firearm by a convicted felon during a commission. That's 20 SC 174937. Had a 2022 battery DV that was dismissed. 2019 simple assault, simple battery arrest. 2019 FTA.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 1070 Bolton Road, where they met with the victim, Ms. Kalia Thomas. She advised that her and the defendant do share one child together. The defendant went through her phone and woke her up and attacked her right after waking her up. She did sustain a knot on her head after he had punched her in the face several times. The state is asking for a $3,000 surety bond, a no contact with Ms. Thomas, a stay away from the Bolton Road address, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while on bond. I'm not sure if Ms. Kalia Thomas is here, but of course we will sound for the victim at this time.
Ms. Kalia Thomas, if you are present, you'll need to unmute and start your video. All right, Mr. Majeski?
Well, Judge, the state beat me to it. That was about going to be my recommendation and my request to the court.
3,000 surety?
Yes, Judge, that sounds appropriate given the history of the circumstances.
All right. Mr. Devontae Spencer, your bond is set at $3,000. It is a surety bond, and your next court date is going to be June 25th, unless you bond out. If you do bond out, make sure that your address with the court is current at all times. You are to have no contact with Kalia Thomas. You are to stay 200 yards away from her. You're not to communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, including social media, a phone, a computer device, or even through a third party. You're also to stay away from any child or children that you share with Ms. Thomas. If you wish to see any of the child or children that you share with her, you must file a separate legitimation action with the appropriate superior court and get a court order. If it's granted, it's recommended that it shall be through third-party transfers. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. If you own any firearms, they must be surrendered to the authorities for destruction. As you're already on felony probation, then you know that you are not allowed to own a firearm anyways. Anything else, Mr. Majeski?
No, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we're going to go to position number 8, Mr. William Hill.
This is State versus William Hill, accused of theft by deception under accusation number 24 CR 3689G. Mr. Hill, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Atay. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
He got over 60. Been in custody since May for a felony, I think theft by taking or deception. 2024 fugitive from justice. 2016 deposit account fraud conviction.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. Mr. Walker,
Yes, Your Honor, this case stems from a private warrant that was taken out by Mr. Ricardo Hunt. He advised that he was in the Goodwill. He located a drum set that had a sold sign on it. The defendant represented to Mr. Hunt that he was the owner of the drum set and he would be glad to sell it to him for $500. The victim gave him said $500 only to find out that Mr. Hill was not the rightful owner of said drum set. The state is going to be asking for a $500 surety bond, no contact with Mr. Ricardo Hunt, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Ms. Satay, anything to add?
Well, Your Honor, my client is 60 years old. He has lived in Georgia all his life. He graduated from high school, earned a bachelor's degree from UGA. As you heard, he was arrested on May 14th. The state's requested a $500 good bond. This is a civil matter. He stated that he was, the sold sticker is put there for a reason. It was sold to him. And this was what he was doing as his self-employment, buying and selling goods. I would ask for a signature bond through the jail in this case, Your Honor.
Okay.
This incident happened September of 2023, and he does deny the allegations as stated in the warrant.
You're saying this is position 8 and it occurred in September? I can't remember seeing that in the warrant, but if y'all want to verify that, Mr. Walker?
I'll take a look, Your Honor. I don't have the warrant
I've
pulled
got an
up.
offense date of June 11th, so
That's
Well,
what the
then it would be
calendar says.
possible that he did it because he's been in
Yeah.
custody since May 14th.
Yeah, so it might be an error on the calendar, but let me pull it up and let me tell you what the date says.
And Your Honor, he tells me that this complaining witness went to the Sandy Springs Police Station 3 times to take out a warrant, and they told him every time that it's a civil matter, it's not a criminal issue. He wanted to buy the drum set at the price that was listed at the Goodwill, but it was already sold to my client, so.
I'm just wondering why the booking sheet has 2. So he's got does he have another charge for?
Yeah, he's being held on another, I think, maybe felony offense for the same charge.
Right. There
Same.
is a private warrant,
Yes, that's this case.
all right, and the incident date was September 22nd, 2023.
Right, and then it was taken out May 13th of this year. That's when it was signed off on by the judge.
May 13th of 2024. And then we have an electronic warrant. All right, this is a felony matter. Okay, thank you. The bond is set at $2,000. It's a signature bond through the jail to have no further contact with the victim and to stay away from the Goodwill store in question. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. And
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I haven't verified it, but he states that this complaining witness has to stay away from Goodwill.
does
So I
that
would
matter?
I think part of his job and employment when he gets out for him to be able to make a living to.
He needs to find a job at another Goodwill, but you cannot go
right.
back to that one.
Okay.
All right, so it's a $2,000 signature bond through the jail and to stay away from the Goodwill store in question and to have no contact with the alleged victim. Next, do you want me to reset it to June 25th, considering he's got the other hold?
No, he's paid the bond on that, Your Honor.
Yes, okay, then we're moving on. Thank you. Next case.
We can go to medical, Your Honor.
Position 15, Myrick.
All right. I have Charles Donald Myrick, case 24 CR 3686G. Mr. Myrick, you're accused of simple battery from June 10th, 2024. You've been advised, well, let me go ahead and say that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you presently is going to be
Oh, it's
Atay, okay? And Mr. Howard, any priors?
It's his ninth arrest. In 2023, DUI was the last. Before that was 02 hit and run DUI. That's it.
Yes, Your Honor. This case occurred at 1871 Plaza Lane. Law enforcement met with the victim, Elise Nagoose. He advised that he and the defendant are roommates at that location. They were having a disagreement over items that were allegedly stolen, at which point the defendant attacked the victim, pushing his head into a wall. The state is asking for a signature bond through pretrial services, a one-day anger awareness, no contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. I'm not sure if Melise Nagoose is on the line, but we will sound for the victim.
All right, it's either Mr. or Miss Melise Neguse, Neguse. You're present, please unmute and start your video. All right, Ms. Atay, any objection to the state's recommendation?
I would object to the one-day anger awareness, and I haven't been in touch with the complaining witness, but a stay away is going to put my client out on the streets, but I understand that there's no way around that, but I think that's a hardship enough for him, to have to find a place to live. He's 60 years old. He's lived in Georgia all his life. He is gainfully employed at Higher Quest. He has the 2023 DUI. I don't know what the disposition is there, and his last arrest was 24 years ago. So he does deny the allegations as stated in the warrant. He doesn't have any recent violent history. I don't know what happened 24 years ago, but that was 24 years ago. So I would ask for a signature bond through the jail in this case, and I would object to the one-day anger awareness.
The bond is going to be set at $1,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. No further contact with Mr. Neguse. You're absolutely right, stay away from 1871 Plaza Lane in Southwest Atlanta. He may return one time only with a police officer to retrieve his personal belongings, and within 30 days of being released, he shall update the court in writing of his new mailing address. No illegal drugs, and from this moment onwards, no consumption of any alcoholic beverages, and he's not allowed to possess a firearm. His next court date will be sent to the address that he provides the court. Thank you.
Next
Next, please.
is gonna be position number 14, Ms. Moore.
This is Dasha Moore, case 24 CR 3687J, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property. This appears to be from a June 9th, 2024 incident. Ms. Moore, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Atay. Any priors?
I got first. She's 17.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 2877 Pine Needle Drive, where they met with the defendant's mother, who is the victim, Miss Denisha James. I do believe Miss James is on the line. She stated that her daughter was acting very disrespectful and broke the family's TV. The state is asking for a signature bond through pretrial services. Had contact with Miss James. She doesn't want her daughter to return. She said that she's been very disrespectful to all the members of the household, including her 80-year-old grandfather, and that she's very concerned about their family's safety. But we're just asking for a signature bond through pretrial services, perhaps a curfew since she's 17, to remain enrolled to school, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while on bond. I'm not sure if her mother would like to chime in, but it was signed for the victim, Miss Denisa James.
Ms. Denisa James, if you are present.
Hello, praise the Lord. Hey, Your Honor. Hey, everybody. I don't
Please
know how
start
to
your
do.
video.
Okay, start my video. Okay, hi.
All right.
Okay.
And then stand.
Yes. Hi,
and then
hello.
stand-
Good evening.
hello. Please face the window so we can see you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm here. Can you see me now?
Yes, all right.
Okay,
Raise
hi.
your right hand. Hello. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
In Jesus' name, yes.
If we decide to have Miss Dasha Moore stay away from your home, Would she be
Yes.
rendered, would she
I
be rendered homeless? Since she's still a minor, under the age
Okay.
of 18, so you're still responsible for her.
She can't come here. This is not my home. This is my dad's house. And I don't know what you guys give her to the state or reward her to the state, but she's out of my hands. She threatened to pour hot grease. She picked up a hot grease pan while I was still frying, threatened to pour hot grease on me. She booked her fingers up at me numerous of times. She cursed me and my dad out. He's wheelchair bound in the wheelchair. She come outside, holler, pick up bricks, all kind of things, Your Honor. She cannot be here at the house. It's not safe for me. I'm his caretaker. I can't leave my dad because a 17-year-old won't mind me. That's the thing. You won't mind me. I say good morning today. She'll get out. All that stuff. It's aggravating. It's very obnoxious. And I don't want her behind back here. I might be responsible for her, but she got a daddy too. And she cannot come back here. And I meant what I said. That she cannot come back to this house. I'm done. After she said she was gonna throw hot grease on me, that was it, Your Honor. Nobody tell me they're gonna throw hot grease on me. This girl, she know
Miss
her book
James?
of the Bible.
Miss
Yes,
James,
ma'am.
what
I'm
is
sorry.
her father's name?
The father name is Byron Moore. I spoke with him earlier.
Where does he live?
He stay in Dallas, Georgia.
And do you have a phone number?
I do.
What is it?
That phone number is going to be 404-625-7710.
I'm gonna hear somebody talk back there.
Anything else?
You wanna reset y'all?
I don't have anything else to say.
All
I'm
right,
just-
thank you, thank you. Ms. Satay?
Your Honor, the father has stated that she can't live with him either. So he's not going to sign the bond. And I believe that Miss James, the mother, was going to get in touch with a great aunt who may be able to sign the bond. But at this point, we don't have an adult co-signer unless the great aunt, Miss James, can sign the bond.
Yes, ma'am. I did call. I called a cousin of mine, and she said she didn't have room, so she couldn't do it. And then I called her grandmother, but her grandmother lives in Alabama, so I don't know how that gonna work.
Thank you, Ms. James. Anything else, Ms. Satay?
Well, Your Honor, she's 17 years old. This is her very first arrest. I don't know if there's some way that she can get a signature bond and sign herself out, or if it needs to be a surety bond. She does say that she can pay a bond.
She's not old enough to sign a contract.
Well, I don't know. We've had situations like this before, and when they're 17, it's very slow with the DFACS to have a guardian appointed or somewhere for her to go. I'll work with the social workers to find her housing. I mean, this is a Riverside issue. She's entitled to a signature bond. It's also her first arrest.
All right.
We don't have
Mr. Walker, can you explain to me how this is a Riverside issue?
I didn't make that statement, but I'll be glad to check into
Oh,
it.
Mr. Tay, I didn't
He
see
was
any.
arrested on June 9th at 2:02 p.m. and it's June 12th, and this was what she was arrested for, not anything else. She was
Okay, well,
arrested
court
at
started at 2 p.m. and that's when her hearing began. As you know, the judge, when they log on, they read their rights to
Court
everybody.
didn't start at 2 today.
Okay, well, as far as I'm concerned, court started at 2. So
Well, you must live in an imaginary land because it didn't start at 2.
Okay, here we go.
It didn't start at 2. There's a 72-hour rule for a reason. I mean,
Well, I asked for a
people have
signature bond.
constitutional
I asked for a
rights.
signature bond anyway, so there's not much discussion to be had about
Yeah,
nothing.
I just wanted to mention it.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Bond is going to be set at $1,000. It's a signature bond through pretrial services. We will need an adult relative to co-sign the bond. It could be her mother, it could be her father, it could be her aunt, her grandaunt, any relative who's over the age, who's 18 and over.
18 and over?
Yes, Miss Atay.
You have a brother she can live with, maybe.
18 and over, unless you want me to make it 21 and over.
Well, I do. They ain't
I
supposed
thought
to be
it was
18,
25.
Judge. Yeah.
If you're allowed to make a contract if you're over the age of 18, does pretrial require them to be 21?
They supposed to be 25, like she said. Yeah, they ain't supposed to be 18 and 19.
unless I put it in the order. So if she has an adult relative who's over the age of 18, and with whom she can live, and with whom she can live.
She has a name, Your Honor. She has a name of someone. Go ahead.
All right, Miss Moore, who will be able to vouch for you?
Money,
I
David,
can't hear you. Speak up.
my brother.
Where does he live?
I think he said East Point.
With whom does he live?
He stayed with his girlfriend.
Okay, well, hopefully they will take pity on you and come and bond you out.
Well, I was gonna say, I have to give him, I gotta get the money from some.
You don't need money, Miss Moore. You have a signature bond. You just need to give the name of the person who can sign for you.
Oh, Renato.
It'd be Dion James, Your Honor. Dion James. He's 19. That's her oldest. That's one of her elder siblings.
All right, so again, it's $1,000 signature bond through pretrial. She needs an adult relative to co-sign the bond. Mr. Howard, I'm making an exception. The adult can be over the age of 18, which is the age they can sign a contract.
Hey, just put on the bond. Well, I ain't got nothing to do
Yes,
with
sir.
that.
Will do, will do.
What
Right
about
now,
her? What
Miss
about
James,
her?
stop interrupting.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Stop. The co-signer must provide a utility bill that he is either renting or owning the property where he lives, and that Miss Moore will be required to live with a co-signer. It's not just a question of signing it out and then just cutting her loose in the community. She's required to live with a person who co-signs a bond. That is a requirement of bond. While Ms. Moore is out on a signature bond, she will report to pretrial twice. She'll be on a level 2. She will continue with school or enroll in a qualified GED program. No alcohol, no drugs, and no weapons and no firearms. No contact with Denisa James, and to stay away from the location. What was that? Something Pine Eagle?
1 second, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
2877 Pine Needle Drive.
Pine Needle Drive, okay. She cannot return to that location. She may return one time only with a police officer. That visit cannot exceed 1 hour, in which she can collect her personal belongings. If there's a breach of peace, Miss Moore may end up getting arrested and brought back to jail with no bond. Any questions, Ms. Atay?
No.
Now, Miss Denisa James, do you have any questions?
No, heard loud and clear, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Walker, that concludes the case. This is $1,000 signature bond pretrial level 2.
All right.
Your Honor, next you can go to ACDC.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon,
For-
Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Deputy Milton, for the folks here at ACDC, I'd just like to remind them that this is an initial appearance calendar for new arrest. They have a right to remain silent. Anything they say in open court, their statements can and will be used against them. They have a right to an attorney. If they cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent them. Who would you like to call first?
Ms. Khan, position 10, Ms. Khan.
Could you repeat that again, please? It was very so low.
Position number 10.
10, thank you.
Just the first arrest. I'll be right back.
All right, sir. This is Ramsha Khan, accused of simple battery family violence from June 11th, 2024. Ms. Khan, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Keith Cook. Mr. Cook? Right, you're representing her, would that be correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And with regards to this case, Ms. Daciano, what's the state's recommendation?
Your Honor, this incident occurred June 11th, 2024. Officers responded to 2007 Wingate Way in Sandy Springs regarding a fight. The victim, Stephen Davis, advised his girlfriend slapped him in the face. And the defendant also admitted to slapping him in the face. The state's recommending a signature bond through pretrial services, no further contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. Our office has not been in touch with Mr. Davis. We would sound for him now.
The victim, Mr. Davis, is that you, sir, on Zoom user 2?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
What's your name?
Stephen Davis.
And did you want to say something?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do, Your Honor.
How do you know Ms. Ramsha Khan?
We're really good friends. And I was just like, well, I visit her place every once in a while. And the incident just happened with an argument, which was resolved, honestly. By the time the police were even arrived, I was literally leaving. So the issue, that's why I'm not understanding why the issue went this far. Because it wasn't as if we were still yelling or arguing when the police arrived or anything. It was just a simple argument.
All right. Do you reside at Wingate Way?
No, ma'am. I just visit.
Miss,
We'll
I'm sorry,
have to amend the accusation.
Miss Khan, your bond is going to be set at $1,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1, which means that you can sign up for your bond. You report to pretrial once a month. No further violent contact with Mr. Stephen Davis. Attend and complete a 1-day anger awareness class with pretrial services. That's no cost to you. And your next court date will be sent to your current mailing address at Wingate Way. If you change your address, make sure that you update the court of your change of address in writing. Any questions, Mr. Cook?
Was that a $1,000?
Signature bond through pretrial.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next case, please, and ACDC. What's your name, please?
Ashley Lockhart.
Repeat your last name.
Lockhart.
Lockhart.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. This is Ashley Lockhart. Position number 12, case 24 CR 003-675H. Ms. Lockhart is accused of battery family violence from May 16th, 2024. Ms. Lockhart, second arrest? Okay.
Oh yeah, go on. You can finish. My bad. I thought you were done.
No, it's okay.
Second arrest, 2018 ag assault dismissed.
Okay. Ms. Lockhart, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Ms. Daciano, any recommendation?
Your Honor, we may need to amend the accusation on this one as well, depending if the victim's on the line. I don't have a ton of information, but I believe they live together. But this incident occurred May 16th, 2024. Officers responded to the Super 8 Motel at 3701 Jonesboro Road. They made contact with Rashawn Hall, who is the defendant's boyfriend. He stated that they were arguing. The defendant hit him in the face with a metal pole, and he had a laceration at the top of his eyebrow as a result. Our office has not been in touch with the victim. The state is recommending a $2,500 surety bond, and no further contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol out on bond, and if we could sound for Rashawn Hall.
Rashawn Hall, if you are present, please unmute and start your video. I don't see anyone. Okay, Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, my client's 37 years old. She has lived in the area most of her life. We have no objection to a stay away. She does not live at that location. and, or no further contact, we would be seeking a signature bond through pretrial services.
All right. On the battery family violence, that's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services level 2. Ms. Lockhart, you can sign up for your bond, but you have to comply with the following conditions. No contact with Rashawn Hall. You have to stay 200 yards away from him and not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner. You have to also stay away from the Super 8 Motel at 3701 Jonesboro Road. Do you still have items at that location?
No, ma'am.
All
I've
right,
been there.
so you are not allowed to go back to that location at all. You're
Yes,
not to consume any alcohol, you're not to consume any illegal drugs, and you cannot possess any firearms. You have to report to pretrial services twice a month. And if you get arrested again, or if you don't come to court or report to pretrial, your signature bond will be revoked and converted to a cash bond or a surety bond. Make sure that we have your current mailing address at all times. I have some location, at Tilson Road. Is that still a good address?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you change your address, make sure you let the courts know. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Position 19 and 20.
Thank you. Goodness. This is State versus Lermetria Trammell. Ms. Trammell has 2 separate cases. The first accusation is 24 CR 3672C, in which she's accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property and battery. And this is from a September 1st, 2023 incident. The second case against Ms. Trammell is 24 CR 3673C, in which she is accused of simple battery from a May 3rd, 2024 incident. Ms. Trammell, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Atay. Any priors on Ms. Trammell?
2019 obstruction. That may be open. 2018 ag assault dismissed. 2017 theft by a shoplifting PTI. And 2014 ag assault theft by taking dismissed. That's all.
Yes, Your Honor. In the first case, law enforcement was dispatched to 1720 MLK Drive, where they met with the victim, Mr. Kadeem Talley. He advised that his ex-girlfriend came to the location, damaged the front door, and physically attacked him, biting him on his arm, and he also had visible scratches on his body. To the 1 count of criminal trespass, the state is asking for a $500 surety bond. To the battery, we are asking for a $2,000 surety bond. No contact with Mr. Kadeem Talley. Stay away from the MLK Drive address. No weapon, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. You want me to go to the second case of the simple battery?
Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
It looks like that occurred at 1689 Talley Road. Same victim. He advised that he was yet again attacked by his ex-girlfriend. He struck her. I'm sorry, she struck him. Law enforcement talked to 2 witnesses on the scene that corroborated the victim's story. The state is asking for a $1,000 surety bond in that case as well. A stay away from the incident location and a no contact with Mr. Talley. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Mr. Howard, do you have an open felony case number?
For what kind of charge?
Cruelty in the first degree and ag assault? From
I don't. Let me look up something real quick.
all right. Mr. Tate?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 28 years old. She has lived in Georgia all her life. She currently, she has an address. She lives with her mother and her brother. She's fine with a stay away and no further contact with this person. They don't share any children together. She denies the allegations as stated in the warrants from, May 4th and September 2023. She is gainfully employed as a cashier, and she is also a high school graduate who earned an associate's and a bachelor's degree from Atlanta Metro. She's currently in a 7-week course to gain a certification to be an administrative assistant. She'll be graduating in July. And Mr. Howard, correct me if I'm wrong, but she's recommended for a signature bond through pretrial services at level 1.
Okay, I understand that, but she's got an open felony case, 18
I got,
CP.
it says it's closed, dismissed, but the thing's still spinning.
Yeah, I heard that those cases were dismissed. I mean, there was a
173900.
Let's see. Yeah, they was a DWAP.
Okay,
Crew
thank
10
you.
the first and 2 counts of ag.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else, Mr. Tate?
Well, so Your Honor, that case was dismissed, so I would ask that you not hold that against her. The case was dismissed for a reason, and I think that Mr. Howard can confirm that she's recommended for a signature bond through pretrial services at level 1, which is what I received from pretrial this morning. So I would ask for the signature bond through pretrial services at level 1, no further contact with the complaining witness, stay away from his location, nothing further.
Thank you.
Judge, the level they put on here was level 1.
All right, thank you. On the criminal trespass and the battery from 2023, that's going to be $2,000 each, and that's going to be a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. On the second case, simple battery, that's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, and that's a level 2. Ms. Trammell, your current bond is going to be $7,000. Today, you get to sign up for it. And if you violate the conditions of the bond, you will be brought back to jail. And next time you would have to pay a $7,000 bond, either put through a bonding company or through cash. You are to have no further contact with Kadeem Talley. You are to stay 200 yards away from him and not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner, including in-person, mail, email, phone, and computer, and even on social media. You're not to consume any alcohol, you're not to consume any illegal drugs, and you're not allowed to possess any weapons or firearms. You have to stay away from wherever Mr. Talley lives, including 1689 Halley Road, I believe, in Atlanta, Georgia. You report to pretrial twice a month, and you will complete 4 anger awareness classes. And I believe that's it. Thank you. We will see you. Oh, yeah, most important. Make sure that we have a current mailing address on you at all times. If you miss a court date, if you miss reporting to pretrial, or if you get arrested again, this $7,000 signature bond will be revoked. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Deputy Milton. Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Your Honor, this is gonna be on the add-on calendar. This is Jamal Muhammad, position number 1 on add-on.
Got it?
Okay. And Mr. Walker, were some of these charges NOD?
Let me check for you.
All right. This is Jamal Muhammad, accused of battery at a public transit vehicle or station, simple battery at a public transit vehicle or station, or criminal trespass from April 25th, 2024. Case accusation is 24 CR 3710H. Mr. Muhammad, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Atay. Are we still proceeding on these 3 charges, Mr. Walker?
That is correct, Your Honor. 2 of the charges were NOD'd.
I'm sorry. So he had 5 and now we're down to 3?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Howard, any priors?
19. Got open simple battery in state court. 24 CR 000877H. Also got a 2024 simple battery felony obstruction that was on MARTA this year. 2023 simple assault arrest, 2022 simple battery obstruction conviction, 2022 simple assault, 2020 probation,
That's
29.
good. That's good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to the North Avenue MARTA station. They spoke with the first victim, Ms. Nakia Morgan. She advised that an unknown male who was the defendant came up to her and just attacked her and blindsided her. He did strike her, resulting in visible injury. The second victim, Ms. Amanita Diallo, she stated that she was at the station as well, and the defendant spit on her. She's unaware or unfamiliar with the defendant as well. In the police report on the warrant, it referenced his other battery case from the MARTA and referenced that's why he has a permanent ban from MARTA, and that's the underlying basis for the criminal trespass. To the battery in a public transit station, we're asking for a $2,500 surety bond. To the simple battery, we're asking for a $1,500 surety bond. To the criminal trespass, we're asking for a $1,000 surety bond. We're asking for a no contact with the victims, Ms. Morgan and Ms. Diallo. Of course, to stay away from all MARTA as he does have a permanent ban because there's other open cases at MARTA. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Tate?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 26 years old. He has lived in Georgia all his life. He's a high school graduate. He denies the allegations as stated in the warrant. I understand there's history. I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services at level 3 or, a signature bond at least on the criminal trespass and a $1,000 surety bond on the battery and the simple battery. He is residentially challenged, Your Honor.
Understood. Thank you. On each count is 1,500. That's a total of 4,500 surety bond. No contact with Miss Morgan and Miss Diallo. And he's to stay away from all MARTA property, including bus stations, train stations. He cannot board any public bus and any public train. And he's also to stay away from the actual stations, including the parking lots, the sidewalks, and the facilities. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and no weapons and firearms. Next court date is going to be June 25th. Miss Bridgewater, when we reset this case, let's go ahead and reset the other case.
Okay.
24 CR 0008778H. So we will address both cases.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
May I speak, please?
Ms. Tate?
I recommend that you don't speak.
I thought that I only had 2 charges and 3 of them was
You had 2 that were dismissed, but you have 3 charges.
And what's those 3 again?
Battery,
Go ahead, Ms. Tate.
battery, simple battery, and criminal trespass.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, was it SOB or?
It's a surety bond. He would have to go through a bonding company. And they will charge him either, anywhere in a minimum of $450 and up.
Right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You are. Next case, please.
Next, we're gonna go to add-on 2. It's gonna be Mr. Sawyer. Right there, please.
State versus Benjamin Sawyer, 24 CR 3709E. Mr. Sawyer, you're accused of battery family violence from June 11th, 2024. You have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Atay. Any priors?
Second arrest. In 2018, he was arrested in Cobb. 2 counts of robbery, 2 counts of ag assault. On probation for that. In 2019, they gave him 14 years. That's all.
So he's currently on felony probation.
Correct.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, law enforcement was dispatched to 502 Woods Drive, where they met with the victim, Ms. Connie Smith. From my understanding, that she is the mother of the defendant. They were having a verbal disagreement when things turned physical at the point that he grabbed and threw his mother down a set of stairs. The state is asking for a $2,000 surety bond, a no contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, I believe Ms. Connie Smith is on the line. She advised that he is on MH meds, but he is not compliant, and she is requesting an evaluation. We will sound for the victim, Ms. Connie Smith.
I think I saw someone,
I
Miss
do
Connie Smith,
too.
if you are on Zoom and you'd like to address the court.
Judge, I'm sorry, she got off, she's just now coming back on.
Oh.
Okay,
On a second.
no problem. Ms. Smith, please unmute your Zoom.
There she go.
Ms. Smith, are you? Okay, this is not going to work out.
Hold on a second. Yes.
Ms. Smith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you remove your hat, please?
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm your other right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Is your son Benjamin Sawyer?
Yes.
And what would you like to tell the court?
I need my son to be evaluated. He's not been taking his medicine. And when he doesn't take it, he get aggressive and violent. He thinks that when he take his medicine, once he no longer hear his psychotic voices, the paranoid schizophrenia, he think he's fixed, he's done. He think, that's enough. He doesn't realize that he's supposed to continue taking the medication to keep the voices out of his head.
Okay.
But he hasn't been on his meds in a minute. And he told me he threw them away.
Okay. Thank you.
Judge. Hey, I'm the big sister.
Please raise
He
your
has
hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's your name?
My name is Shankuyet Shah. Benjamin, it's been exhausting. He has been 10-13 5 times with being home released within a year and a half. It's not, he can't hold his job.
That is good. I think I got the picture.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, please mute your screen. Thank you. Mr. Tate?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is only 22 years old. He has lived in Georgia all his life. He denies the allegations as stated in the warrant. He has very little history. I understand he has the 2018 case that he's on probation for. He was barely 17 at the time of that incident. And this is his first arrest since then. As you heard from the complaining witness, and I think his sister was listed in the warrant too, he does suffer from MH issues, and he's not going to get any help with that sitting in the jail. So I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services with the conditions that he stays compliant with any MH medications that he's prescribed. And
go ahead.
And the stay away and no further contact. If I don't understand, I'm not sure if if that's what the complaining witness has asked for. But if not, then I would ask for him to be able to return to the home and have no violent contact with his family.
Correct.
This is a very serious situation. Just reading the warrant, I'm surprised this is not a felony charge. But presently, the bond is set at $3,000. It is a surety bond. Mr. Sawyer is required to have no contact with Connie Smith and to stay away from 502 Woods Drive in Northwest Atlanta. If he does, please don't interrupt. If he does bond out, he would need to update the court of his new mailing address within 30 days of being released. He is to undertake a MH evaluation within 2 weeks of being released and must be compliant with all treatment and medication. His next court date is going to be June 25th, and At the present time, he's not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, and he cannot own or possess any firearms. All right. Miss Smith, yes, what would you like to say?
My son has nowhere else to go besides 502 Woods Drive and
Oh,
my
he
apartment.
has somewhere to go. He's at the Rice Street Jail right now.
I know, but you saying when he get out, he can't have contact. I'm his caregiver. He's mentally unstable to hold his own.
Understood. But at the present time, if he does, but you're the victim in this case also. So that's the situation we have.
He can't go to your house, not grandmama's house.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're free to go. Next case, please. Ms. Atay, would you like me to reset him to June 25th or the June 20th, 11 a.m. calendar?
June 20th.
Yeah, my bad.
And just to be clear, are we gonna do the evaluation while he's in custody or?
Well, if I'm putting it on June 20th, the next thing I'm going to require is a social worker visit and then a evaluation.
Okay.
All right. So it's reset to June 20th at 11 a.m. The PD's office is on note that they will need Mr. Sawyer to be interviewed by a social worker who can then make a recommendation as to whether an evaluation needs to take place. Thank you. Who do we have in courtroom 2?
This position number 1, Mr. Bautista Padilla.
Thank you. This is Jonathan Batista Padilla, accused of battery, family violence from June 11, 2024. Mr. Batista, your case number is 24 CR 3692B. You have been advised of the right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook, or who is it? Who is the public defense attorney for Mr. Batista?
Keith Cook, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
11. He was arrested this year for a suspended license. 2015 burglary conviction. I didn't see any violent arrests in his history.
All right. 2024 suspended license. All right. Thank you. And
Judge, he is on
Yes.
probation for a battery, family violence. The incident date of that case was August 11th of last year. It's the same victim, case number 23 CR 005842B.
So he already has a battery, family violence conviction?
He does, Your Honor. Our office has been in touch with the district attorney about transferring it.
All right.
I missed that one. My bad.
That's okay. Mr. Cook? Yes, sir.
You're right. I believe the alleged victim was on Zoom. That would be Miss Maria Diego. I don't see her at the moment.
Miss Maria Diego, if you would like to, she's on the Zoom, but she's, if you'd like to add to these proceedings, you would need to unmute and start your video. I don't know if she understands English, quite frankly, Miss.
No, she does very, very well. Very well.
Miss Diego, if you'd like to address the court, you can unmute. Otherwise, you have the right not to say anything. What would you like to do?
I like to speak.
All right, please raise your right hand. The other right hand. Yeah. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. Yes, ma'am. What would you like to tell me?
It was a misunderstanding. He came home. I told the police officer he came home at 2:30 in the morning. I got upset because I was home with both of our kids by myself, and he had came in. So we had a disagreement. We argued, but it wasn't really physical. And I just ran to my mom's house and told her just to take him out. That's it. But it was just a misunderstanding. There was no violence or anything, just disagreement, arguing.
Your Honor, if I could put a brief factual basis on the record.
Sure, go ahead.
Judge, this incident took place June 11th, 2024. Officers responded to 1940 Fisher Road Southeast, Apartment 29B, in reference to a disturbance. Upon arrival, they spoke with the victim, Miss Maria Diego. Her mother, I understand, is the person who actually called the police. She stated that her boyfriend arrived home at 2:30 in the morning, opened the door for him. He accused her of cheating on her with her stepdad, then grabbed her by the neck and bashed the back of her head. Then the victim ran to her mother's house and her mother called 911. I understand at this point that she's recanting. However, she did tell the police what happened at that time. And as you know, victims of domestic violence often recant. And she did say that the injuries that were on her neck were made from her 1-year-old child. However, she told police that the child was sleeping at the time. And the injury alleged is, I believe, a red mark. So if the child was sleeping, I highly doubt that it would have been the child. The state is recommending a $2,500 surety bond, and no further contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, family violence intervention program, as he's already ordered to take under his previous case, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol out on bond.
And Ms. Desiano, at this juncture, do you know if there is body cam of this? Let me see. Normally the officer indicates so. I can't tell right now.
I know our office has requested all of the evidence, Judge, but I have not seen it yet. Let me pull this
All
case
right.
up and see if
Thank
we
you.
had it since we've been in court.
All right, Ms. Diego, it will be interesting to see what was the interview like between you and the officer after your mother called the police. So that would be very helpful for me to decide how to proceed. What else would
Yes.
you like to tell me?
Yes, she well, it wasn't her that called the police, it was my sister. My mom told her to call the police. But I never said that he bashed my head into anything. That I never said.
Okay.
And
anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cook?
May I inquire of the witness just briefly, Your Honor?
Yes, Ms. Diego, could you please come back to the Zoom?
Yes.
Go
Yes.
ahead, Mr. Cook.
Yeah, hi, Ms. Diego. Do you wish for Mr. Bautista Padilla to come home
Yes.
and to have further contact
Yes.
and live as you were living previous to
Yes.
this event? Okay.
Fine.
You shared this child.
Yes, we share 2 children together. Biologically, we only have 1 child together, which is 4 months. But he's been with me ever since my oldest was 3 months old.
Okay, so you do not fear Mr. Bautista Padilla?
No.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Do you have any argument with regards to the counter about the bond?
Yes, Your Honor. We would not familiar with the other charge, but we would be seeking a signature bond at pretrial, through pretrial. No further violent contact. If the court wished to impose an anger management course or something of that nature, we would have no objection to that.
In case 23 CR 005842B, Mr. Bautista Padilla was convicted and pled nolo contendere to battery family violence for an incident date from August 11th, 2023 involving Maria Diego. In this particular disposition, he was placed on a 1-year probation. The final disposition was entered on December 18th, 2023. So technically speaking, he is on probation for a battery family violence nolo contendere against with respect to Ms. Diego. This incident occurred within 1 year of that probation. So also technically speaking, there should be a probation revocation requiring Mr. Bautista Padilla to have a hearing to see whether his probation warrants a revocation. In the meantime, with regards to the current charge, given the nature of the warrant, the statements from the alleged victim, as well as the fact that Mr. Bautista is required to have no violent contact with Miss Maria Diego, the bond is going to be set at $2,500. It is a cash bond only. He is to have no further contact with Maria Diego and the children that he shares with her. If he intends to have any kind of visitation or custody, he needs to file a legitimation action. He's to stay away from the family home. He is not to consume any alcohol, no firearms, and no illegal drugs. His next court date is going to be June 25th. I don't know if he qualifies for an upgrade at the present time, Ms. Daciano, but the probation issue is definitely up for grabs.
Understood, Your Honor. And we do have the body cams. I'm looking through them now.
Thank you. Next case, please.
Your Honor, it's going to be position number 2, Mr. Benavian.
May we take him up at the end?
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you.
Go have a seat. Go have a seat in the third row. Both of y'all.
We can address Robert Crumbly if he's available.
Yeah, he's coming up next, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Robert Crumbly is accused of battery, family violence from November 24th, 2022 in case 24CR 3691F. Mr. Crumbly, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
3rd, 2010, simple assault, DV, trespass, arrest. That's it.
And Judge, I'm showing that was dismissed.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, this incident took place about a year and a half ago around Thanksgiving in 2022. Officers responded to 3540 North Camp Creek Parkway, apartment G5. They made contact with the victim, Miss Ishia Rush. She stated that her husband, who's the defendant, was upset over one of their children not being able to visit for the holidays. He used cocaine and left, and when he came back, he punched her and kicked her. Ms. Rush had visible injuries to her neck and stomach. We have spoken to the victim. She said they are married. They do not live together. They don't have children. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She stated that this is not the first time the defendant's been violent toward her. She stated that they have had arguments since this incident, but there's been no violence. She's not in fear of the defendant and is okay with having no violent contact. The state is recommending a signature bond through pretrial services and no further contact with the victim, anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol out on bond. And if we could sound for Ishia Rush.
Miss Rush?
I believe she's on the Zoom.
I'm on Zoom. Here I am.
All right, thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
In the past 12 months, have you been living with Mr. Crumbly?
On and off.
Okay. And do you currently live with him?
No.
Okay.
But he is welcome here.
And do you share any children with him?
My daughter, and she's not biologically his. However, she does think that because she does not know her father, that he is her father. And I'm going to let that be okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Crumbly. Mr. Cook, anything to add?
They have been together off and on since the alleged events. We have no problem, obviously, with the signature bond. We would ask for no further violent contact. And if the court wanted to impose an anger awareness course, we would not object to that.
Thank you. Bond is set at $3,000. So signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. Mr. Crumbly, you can sign up for your bond, but you have to report to pretrial twice a month. You are to have no further violent contact with Miss Ishia Rush and her family members. You may visit her, you may see her and her child, but there cannot be any physical or verbal altercations. You're not to consume any illegal drugs, you're not to consume any alcohol, and you're not allowed to own or possess any firearms. If you own any firearms, they have to be surrendered to the authorities for destruction. You will be subject to mandatory drug and alcohol screening for once a month while you report to pretrial services. If you fail a drug screen, if you fail an alcohol screen, or if you get arrested again, or if you don't report to pretrial or to court, the $3,000 signature bond will be revoked and converted to a cash bond or a surety bond. Within 30 days of being released on this signature bond, you will enroll in a qualified domestic violence intervention program. This is a 24-week program, and you will attend each of those classes until you receive your certificate, and then you must present that certificate to pretrial. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That concludes your case.
Your Honor, what was the amount on the bond?
It's 3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2.
Thank you. Let's start down on the third row.
Then we have Jesse.
Marines.
How do you say it, Officer Norris?
Yes.
All right. How do you say it, sir?
Desperate Beats.
Desperate Beams?
Yes. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, sir, your case is 24 CR 003-683D. And in this particular case, you've been accused of driving without a valid license, violation of the Georgia hands-free law, and an adult seatbelt violation from June 11th, 2024. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Ms. Desiano, is there anything else holding Mr. Des Ravines at the jail?
Yes, Your Honor. He has a hold out of Gwinnett County.
All right, and what's your recommendation? I'm sorry, Mr. Howard, anything to add?
14 total, resident of Miami, Florida. 2019 possession of a controlled substance, DUI out of Tennessee, and another arrest in 2019 DUI conviction, and the warrant for assault out of Gwinnett.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred June 11th, 2024. Officers were patrolling on Piedmont Avenue at Miami Circle. They observed the defendant driving with a cell phone. Upon making contact, they noticed the driver wasn't wearing his seatbelt. They ran his license. It came back as invalid, and there was an active warrant for the defendant out of Gwinnett County. Normally, I would ask for a signature bond or something like this, but because he is a resident of Miami, Florida, I would ask for a $1,000 surety bond. That'd be $500 on the driving without valid license, and then $500 on the remaining counts. And no driving without a valid license, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol out on bond.
Well, thank you. Mr. Cook, I was going to do a $1,000 signature surety bond on the license issue and a signature bond through the jail on the other 2 charges. Do you have any objection?
Well, we would like a signature bond on everything, but I'll leave that up to the court's discretion.
Yeah, given his criminal history record and the fact that he's not a resident of the state of Georgia, I'm doing a $1,000 surety on driving without a valid license, 500 signature bond through the jail on the distracted driving and the seatbelt. That means it's $250 each. So it's a $1,500 split bond with release to Gwinnett County hold only. No driving without a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and current registration for any vehicle that he operates. He must maintain a current mailing address with the courts at all times. Next court date is June 25th.
SOB jail, Your Honor?
It is $1,000 surety on count 1. 250 signature bond through the jail on count 2 and on count 3.
Thank you.
1,500 split. Release to Gwinnett County hold only. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next is going to be position number 6, Mr. Garrett.
Darnell, Garrett, yes, sir. Your case number is 24 CR 3679F. Mr. Garrett, you've been cited for willful obstruction of an officer, possession of marijuana, a misdemeanor, and violation of the Georgia hands-free law from December 5th, 2023. Mr. Garrett, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
13 adult arrests, 2023 criminal damage to property, possession of a Schedule 1. I don't know that case number. It was in full to know.
Okay,
A couple of FTAs, one from 2018, one from 2023. 2020 simple assault conviction. 2016 suspended license.
that's good. Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place December 5th, 2023. Officers were patrolling in College Park in the area of Godby Road and Schofield Road when they observed a driver on a cell phone. They initiated a traffic stop. They made contact with the defendant. The officer noticed a strong odor of marijuana, asked him to step out of the car, and the defendant fled the scene. His car was searched, and the officer found 3 grams of marijuana, and the officer also found a handgun that came back registered stolen. The state is requesting a signature bond through pretrial services, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol on a bond.
Okay. Mr. Cook is going to be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail on count 1, 500 on count 2, and 250 on count 3. Total bond is $1,750 signature bond through the jail with a release to Douglas County hold only. No driving, well, so he needs to, while driving, to comply with all the rules of the road. This is a release to Douglas County Jail only.
Judge, will you repeat the amounts for 2 and 3, charges 2 and 3?
500 and 250.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Garrett, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say can and will be used against you.
The FTA, I never received the papers, and the gun, it actually was a rental, so it wasn't mine. And
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And that's
But you have a signature bond through the jail.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I
ma'am.
wouldn't say nothing more, Mr. Garrett. You've got
And
to
Thank
let's
you.
go.
signature bond to the jail.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, what was the amount for count 1?
1,000.
Thank you.
Jason Hamill is accused of simple battery family violence from June 11th, 2024 in case 24 CR 36908. Mr. Hamill, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Miss Atay. Any priors on Mr. Hamill?
I got first arrest.
First arrest?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident happened June 11th, 2024. Officers responded to 515 Shadow Hawk in Milton. They met with the victim, Shannon Hamill, who advised the defendant grabbed her by both of her arms and pinned her to the bed so she could not move. Our office has been in touch with Ms. Hamill. She states that she and the defendant are married. They live together at the incident location. They share 2 children. She said they were in an argument when the defendant grabbed her by the arms and pinned her down to the floor and started throwing her around on the bed. She stated the defendant has punched holes in the wall in the past, but she's never called the police. She stated she's in fear of the defendant. She does not wish to have any contact. She would like the defendant to have a one-time law enforcement to come collect his belongings, and she's okay with a third-party transfer for their children. This is a first arrest, Your Honor. The state's requesting a signature bond through pretrial services, and no further contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. And if you could sound for Shannon Hamill.
I have a Savannah Hamill.
Yes, Judge, we the warrant's incorrect. Once we spoke to the victim, we figured that out.
Shannon Hamill. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And Miss, there's a young lady, Zoom's user 1. Are you Miss Hamill?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to address the court, or do you just want to remain silent?
I'll remain silent.
Okay. Miss Atay?
I thought you were calling me.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I guess, go ahead, Miss Atay.
Your Honor, my client is 48 years old. He has lived in Georgia for 30 years. He is He earned his bachelor's degree and master's degree from University of Tennessee. He is gainfully employed with the same company for the last 20 years. I thought the complaining witness was somebody else too. That's what I saw in the warrant. He does deny the allegations as stated in the warrant. This is his very first arrest. He's 48 years old. He does have a job that's very demanding, so I would ask for a signature bond through the jail. No further contact and a stay away, and a one-time law enforcement escort. Nothing further.
What does he do that he won't be able to report to pretrial?
He works as a finance director.
Oh my goodness, of course he can report. I thought he was a truck
Well,
driver.
it's also his first arrest. So, and he denies the allegations as stated in the warrant, and he is
Understood.
recommended for a signature bond through the jail.
Understood. Thank you. Miss Hamill, is your name Savannah or Shannon?
My name is Shannon, and my daughter's name is Savannah.
Oh my goodness. Let's go ahead and change your Zoom screen name to Shannon Hamill. Please don't put your daughter's.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Jason Hamill, your bond is going to be set at $2,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. Although you were recommended to the jail, this is a domestic violence situation. So I'm going to require you to report to pretrial once a month. You're going to be on a level 1 reporting. You are to have no further contact with Shannon Hamill. You can arrange to have visitation with the child or children that you share with Shannon Hamill through a third party. So there can be communication with Shannon Hamill for the sole purpose of arranging visitation, which means pick up and drop off through a third party. There shall be no consumption of any alcohol, no illegal drugs, and you're not allowed to own or possess any firearms. If you own or possess any firearms, they must be surrendered to the police authorities for destruction. Within 30 days of being released, you shall update the court of your new mailing address. You can go back to the marital home one time only in order to, with a police officer, to retrieve your personal belongings, and then you'll have to set up a separate residence and update the court with your new address within 30 days. Within 30 days also, you shall enroll in a qualified domestic violence intervention program, and you will attend those 24-week classes diligently until you get a certificate which you will present to pretrial services. This will be a condition of your bond and not an issue of guilt of innocence. Your next court date will be sent to your new mailing address. Again, no contact with Shannon Hamill, only on the sole issue of visitation with regards to the children you share, and you are to stay away from the marital home until further order of the court. One-time visit is allowed. Any questions, Mr. Tate?
Nope. Well, I would question why he's taking a DVIP for his first arrest, but no questions.
All right. All right. Mr. Hamill, do you have any questions on your bond?
Just one question, Your Honor. Is it just a one-time visit with the children?
You have a one-time visit to the marital home with a police officer to pick up your belongings because you need to live elsewhere.
Understood.
And then your visitation with the children will be arranged mutually between you and Miss Shannon Hamill. But the pickup and the drop-off must be done through a third party. So through a mutual relative or a mutual friend.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm. Next case, please. I have.
It's gonna be number 9, Mr. Ibarra.
Okay. Mr. Juan Ibarra, do you speak English, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Your case is 24 CR 3678F. Excuse me, 78E. You are accused of battery family violence from June 10th, 2024. And you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Cook? Mr.
Yes,
Cook?
Your Honor. Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
This is fifth arrest. Last arrest I saw was 1993.
Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place June 10th, 2024. Officers were dispatched to 95 Valley View Drive in Fairburn in reference to a domestic dispute. Upon arrival, they met with the victim, Lorena Cervantes. She does not speak English, Judge. Her daughter, Daisy, does and was translating to the police for her. She advised that she was unloading items from her car. She got into an argument with the defendant. It's a little bit of an odd living situation. They are divorced, but they're still living together. Anyway, the defendant started beating the victim with closed fists on her face, arms, and back, and the officer observed a cut on the victim's arm. Our office has not been in touch with the victim at this time. Judge, his last arrest is from 1994, so the state is recommending a signature bond through pretrial services, and no further contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. And if we could sound for Lorena Cervantes.
Miss Lorena Cervantes, or anyone who's here to assist her, please start your video and unmute. All right. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, my client.
Sorry, was there a signature bond through pretrial?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Cook?
Yes, my client denies the allegations as stated in the warrant. He did, in fact, ask his daughter to call the police and turned himself in, but his position is that his wife was the primary aggressor. We would be asking, certainly we have no objection to the signature bond. We would be asking for no further violent contact and anger management if that's what the court deems appropriate. But they have been together a very long time, and we would like to see him return home.
All right. On the battery family violence, that's going to be a $3,000 signature bond for pretrial services, and he can sign up for the bond. He's to have no further contact with Miss Lorena Cervantes. After today, he's to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, including a phone, computer device, through a third party, or even on social media. He is to stay away from the location at 95 Valley View Drive in Fairburn, Georgia. He's allowed a one-time visit to go and with a police officer. The one-time visit must be with a police officer to retrieve his personal belongings, and then he must update the court with a new mailing address within 30 days of being released. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. He is to enroll in a qualified domestic violence program within 30 days of being released. This is a 24-week program, and he will show proof of completion of enrollment and completion of those classes to pretrial.
What's your level?
Level 1. Mr. Ibarra, if you have any questions, this is the time to ask about your bond.
Well, my question is, I don't have a place to go right now, but I think I can find a place to live, but
You cannot live with Lorena at the place. You cannot stay there.
because
You will have to find someplace else.
the house is in my name, so it's my house.
No, sir. Right now, she's living there. If you want her out of the house, you need to file a dispossessory action.
No, I'm not, because she live over there with my daughter, so I'm not that kind of person.
That's entirely up to you, but you cannot live under the same roof with her.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
what happens when you have a case for domestic violence.
Okay, thank you.
If you return to the location and she reports you, you'll be back in jail with no bond. So just to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, what was the amount to your SOB?
3,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 1, please.
Release today?
Jomo Kinsey.
No?
All right, we have Mr. Kinsey, whose case is 24 CR 3676Y, accused of battery, family violence, from May 27th, 2024. Mr. Kinsey, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Any priors, please?
I got first.
All right, first arrest.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place May 27th, 2024. Officers responded to a fight in progress at 250 Amal Drive Southwest. Upon arrival, officers made contact with the victim, Kelly Lloyd Kinsey, who states that she and her husband are going through a divorce, but they're still living under the same roof. They got into an argument. He punched her in the face. The officer observed bruising and swelling to her right eye, and she went to the hospital the following day and was diagnosed with a corneal abrasion. We have been in touch with the victim. She states that, again, they're married, but in the process of getting a divorce. They live together at the incident location. They don't have any children together. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She states that there have been arguments in the past, but never physical arguments. She states that they've been living together since this incident, but there's been limited contact. She is concerned now that he's been arrested, how his mental state will be. So she is requesting a no contact and a stay away from the residence until she's able to find somewhere else to go. However, she doesn't know when that will be. The state is asking for a signature bond through pretrial services and no further contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. And if you could sound for Kelly Lloyd Kinsey, I believe she's on the Zoom.
Kelly Kinsey, if you're on Zoom and you'd like to add to the proceedings, please unmute and start your video. Someone's trying to connect to audio. I don't know who that is. And then I have.
I just got a message saying that the victim had to go back to work, so she actually logged off.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is a longtime employee of the Atlanta Fire Department, and it's a paramedic. I also talked to the alleged victim. She did not mention an ongoing divorce, but we would be asking for a signature bond to pretrial, no further violent contact, and any anger management course that the court deems appropriate.
So the warrant states that they're currently in a divorce process. So that's there.
Yes, Your Honor, it's my understanding there's been, I believe, a settlement paperwork of some kind where they've agreed to cohabitate until the victim can find other housing. Of course, then this happened, so.
Okay, thank you. Anything else to add, Mr. Cook?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Kinsey, your bond is going to be set at $3,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial level 1. You would need to comply with the following conditions in order to maintain your signature bond status. No further contact with Miss Kinsey, Kelly Kinsey. I just want to make sure I've got the correct Kelly Autumn Lloyd Kinsey, excuse me. You are to stay away from 250 Amal Drive in Southwest Atlanta. You are allowed a one-time visit with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings. That visit cannot exceed 1 hour. After that, you must update the court with your new mailing address within 30 days of being released. You're not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or any firearms. In your line of work, are you required to carry a sidearm?
No, ma'am.
All right. That was a no. Would that be correct?
That is correct.
All right. If you do own any firearms, you're required to surrender them to the authorities for destruction, and that must all be done within the next 30 days. Within 30 days also, you shall enroll in a qualified domestic violence intervention program. This is a 24-week program, and you will show proof of enrollment and attendance of those classes to your pretrial officer. At the completion of the program, you will then submit an affidavit, a certificate to your pretrial officer. Since there are no children, then there isn't the issue of any kind of third-party visitation or anything to that effect. Yes, Mr. Kinsey?
Yes, I own firearms in the house and Kelly has one. How do I get it from her so I can turn them in?
I didn't understand the question.
Say it loud. I have firearms at the house and Mrs. Lloyd, Mrs. Kinsey has one of them. How do I get it from her so I can turn them in? Because they're both in my name.
If the firearms at the house, you're not permitted to take them. If Miss Desiano, please instruct the alleged victim that she would need to surrender all firearms to the police for destruction. But you personally cannot retrieve any firearms on that one-time visit. I meant that if you have any firearms on your person or in your car or anywhere else, you can't do that.
Yes, ma'am. Also, she has my car as well.
How many cars do you have?
Altogether, between the both of us, we have 3 cars.
Which car do you drive?
I'm driving right now the Altima, which is hers, and she's driving my Volkswagen, and I have a Range Rover as well.
You are only permitted to take the Volkswagen. What year is it?
It's the 2022, I lease it.
It's a 2022 Volkswagen.
Volkswagen Crossport.
I don't know what model it is, but the only car you're allowed to take is the 2022 Volkswagen. What else?
Nothing further, just a few clothes, that's all.
All right. Please understand that you cannot return to the location and you cannot contact Miss Lloyd Kinsey in any way, form, or manner. That will be considered a violation of your bond. Thank you.
One more thing, Judge, please.
Yeah.
I may have a firearm in the car. So if I'm not supposed to have contact with the firearm.
You would need to let the police officer know when you go back to the home that you have a firearm in the car and that you've been instructed to have it destroyed. You can surrender it to the officer at that time.
All right, thank you.
But you yourself, because you have a domestic violence case against you, from now on, you're not allowed to have a firearm.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Your next court date will be sent to your mailing address, so make sure you provide the court with a new mailing address within 30 days of being released. Thank you. Next case I have is Jimmy McKinnon. Mr. McKinnon is accused of simple battery, family violence, and misdemeanor terroristic threats and acts from April 13th, 2024. The accusation is 24 CR 3688C. Mr. McKinnon, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howell?
This is 9th adult arrest. Last arrest was June 7th, possession of marijuana. Went to the city jail for that. On probation for ag assault. Battery
What was
DV.
the conviction for? How long has he been on probation?
Since September. It's 23 SC.
2023?
Yes.
Anything
20
else?
23 SC 188376.
188
376.
376. All right. And I understand that he has 2 other open cases with state court. Would that be correct?
Correct.
All right. That's good. Thank you. Mr. Walker?
Okay, and one of those open cases, 23 CR 004835C. I believe that's another DV case with the exact same victim, Natara Houston. He's out on a $5,000 surety bond on that case. He was ordered to have no contact with Miss Houston, and yet here we are yet again. Law enforcement in this case was dispatched to 2126 Browns Mill Road, where they met with the victim, Miss Houston. She advised that the defendant was upset with her because he felt like his friends were trying to talk to her, whatever that means. He became irate. He did punch her in the face. Punch her in the face and head, punch her in the face and head, and then he threatened to shoot her in the face. They do have 2 children together, and this did occur at the victim's grandmother's house. To the terroristic threats, we are asking for a $3,000 surety bond. To the simple battery family violence, we're asking for a $2,000 cash bond. We obviously are asking for no contact with Miss Houston, as he's already ordered to have no contact with her. Stay away from the incident location, 2126 Brown Mill Road. No weapon, drugs, or alcohol while out on bond. I'm not sure if Miss Houston is on the line, but we will sound for the victim at this time.
Miss Houston, if you are on Zoom, you can unmute and start your video.
And the pretrial bond is 3,000. for the last arrest in March.
For the 24996C?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Miss Houston doesn't seem to be responding. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, my client would have no problem, with the stairway and no further contact. He lives on Confederate Avenue. He's 19 years old. He is working, at Popeyes. I'm not as familiar, with the remainder of his record. So I would, simply leave it in the court's discretion.
All right, thank you. On the simple battery, that's going to be a $1,500 cash bond only. On the terroristic threats, that's going to be a $1,000 cash bond only. The total bond is going to be 2,500 cash bond only. On the case 24 CR 996C, the 3,000 signature bond through pretrial services is to be revoked and converted to a surety bond only. And we are going to reset all three cases to June 25th, 2024 at 9 a.m. Mr. McKinnon, this is a repeat alleged offense with the same alleged victim. You are to have no further contact with Natara Houston. You are to stay away from wherever she lives and wherever she happens to be. You need to stay 200 yards away from her. You are to have no contact with the children that you share with Miss Houston. You can file a separate legitimation action with the Superior Court and get a court order to establish paternity and visitation with the child or children that you share with Miss Houston. But until then, you're to have absolutely no communication and no contact with Miss Houston and her children. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Your signature bond has been revoked in one of your cases, and your current bond is a 2,500 cash bond only. We will see you and address all three cases on June 25th unless you bond out. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Give me 1 second, Your Honor, while I clear the courtroom.
All right. I have a Derek Rogers as well. Is there?
I have that case, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
I have that case as well.
Okay, let's find out.
I saw a message earlier that that one was a waiver.
Ms. Ate, Mr. Cook, is Derek Rogers a waiver?
Yes, he is, Your Honor. I sent the waiver.
All right, thank you. Let's pause the live stream, please.